Hey everyone, Tyson the Subaru Specialist from Subaru Prince George here, taking a look at the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness in the Geyser Blue, the most off-road oriented Crosstrek Subarus ever made. Obviously, it has some exterior styling cues that are different than your standard Crosstreks. You've got 9.3 inches of minimum ground clearance. Still powered by a 2.5-liter four-cylinder boxer engine, 182 horsepower, but you have a revised final drive ratio of 411, so you can climb steeper grades. You'll accelerate faster than the standard Crosstrek, even with the 2.5s. Sacrifice a little bit of economy with that excess ground clearance and that revised gear ratio, but that's pretty minor. This is pretty focused built for going off-road. Front end is unique to the Wilderness. Got a unique grille. You've got your anodized copper tow hook covers. The front bumper has, I don't want to call it a cutout, but it's been changed to increase your approach angle. We do, of course, get those hexagonal shaped 6 LED Gatling gun style fog lights and more cladding on these. Headlights are LED steering responsive with high beam assist, ridiculously bright. And then, of course, one of the other styling cues you notice right away, that matte black hood decal, decal, sticker, whatever you want to call it. And it's quite large in comparison to that of the Forester and the Outback, and that's just because it's the same line on the hood that all of the Crosstreks have, and it just filled that. This is designed to reduce glare onto the driver because it's matte, which is pretty cool. I didn't see the value in it until I was going through the drive-through once, and off the painted portion I was getting blinded, off the matte black decal I was not. Cladding is definitely more aggressive, more exaggerated around the wheel wells, chunkier if you will. You get the exclusive 17-inch matte black wheels. You get all-terrain tires from factory. They're Yokohama Geolanders. They're 3-peak mountain snowflake rated. They're legal for winter on all the roads here in BC. Mirror caps have your integrated turn signals, and they're gray. They're not gloss painted, which is nice because if you're going off the beaten path, they stick out, more likely to get beat up than the others. Cladding along the bottom is more than your standard Crosstrek. Probably going to kick up some rocks, some sticks, more debris if you're going off the beaten path, especially with all terrain, so that does help protect that. Got an additional Wilderness badge. There you get 3 of those on the exterior. That side profile again. And of course, you anodized copper highlights with Crosstrek. The roof rails have those anodized copper highlights. You can actually use the standard Crosstrek crossbars on these, which is nice, but it is a nice, easy to use setup. You can get crossbars, put rooftop tents on these. You can get the Thule ones if you want. But the rear fender extends onto the door. Much like the other Crosstreks, that's just definitely a more sizable piece. Give you that rear 3/4 view. This is my favorite view of the Crosstrek, and I have to say the rear, straight-on rear view of the Crosstrek Wilderness is probably my favorite. I really like the rear end of this vehicle. It's the same rear taillights that I absolutely love on your standard Crosstrek that you find on the Wilderness. That black and red combination, I think, is perfect. Fuel door, rear passenger side. If the driver door is unlocked, the fuel door is unlocked. If I click lock on the key fob, which I'm going to do, you'll notice a pin shoots out and locks into the corresponding hole. Click unlock, and it's unlocked. So if the driver door is unlocked, your fuel door is unlocked. If your driver door is locked, it's locked. Just push to close, which is nice. But at the rear bumper, again, has been changed to increase your rear departure angle. Subaru on the rear bumper, kind of like you see on the Toyotas where it says Tacoma across the tailgate or Tundra. The F-150s have started to do that. That's kind of Subaru's equivalent into the bumper. Not quite, it doesn't stand out quite as much, but it's definitely there. Anodized copper covers indicate tow hook locations. And we do have those little circles in the rear bumper. Those are your backup sensors. They're going to apply the brakes. You ever think you're going to hit anything in reverse between speeds of 1 and 15 kilometers an hour. Blacked out badging, as you would expect from all the other Wilderness trims. Yeah, I'll just give you another look at that. That rear end on this Crosstrek, it's aggressive for a rear end. I'm a big fan of it. Obviously, that's not the most important part of the car, but I really love it. I think it looks great. To open the rear hatch, between these 2 stars, little rubber switch right there. You do get the PIN code access right there. You can set that up so you can access the vehicle without your key on you. Got your backup camera there. You can wash it. I'm not going to be washing it in this video because the new owner is coming shortly to pick it up. Way more room behind the second row seats in a Crosstrek than people expect. Privacy cover is standard equipment in the Wilderness, as is the Wilderness cargo tray with the Wilderness badging, and it's got this really cool texture to it. The lip on the new cargo trays is quite extreme. Like, it's up there quite a bit. It does dip down where you've got your physical tie-in locations. You've got your bottle/cup holders on either side for tailgating. We've got grocery bag hooks. We've got other hooks. And you can tie all three of those on each side into a cargo net accessory, which is nice. Got our halogen cargo light that you can shut off if you don't like it, or it'll shut off when I close the hatch. Handle, which is huge. This is way better than the previous gens if you have one of those. They've just got a little plastic piece that you grab, no handle. This makes it so much easier to use. Hide everything from the top of the seats down, keeps things out of sight, out of mind. It does help insulate things a little bit better, especially in the summer. So if you've got frozen groceries, anything like that, use the cover. It does help. Get asked about this all the time. Third seat belt is out of there. You run it through this clip here, and then there is 2 portions on the seat itself. So everyone ends up with a 3-point harness because safety first. Easy close tailgate or hatch. And we do have an LED cargo light. You can shut that off if you want, but as it's set, it'll shut off when I close the hatch. Easy close. Don't have to put too much force into that. Yeah, look at that. And it's extra shiny because we actually just finished ceramic coating it. And this is the first time it's been outside, so it looks amazing. I don't think the camera's really doing it justice. 1 on the color, 2 on how shiny it is with the ceramic. Second row, lots of headroom, lots of leg room. You can easily fit 3 passengers comfortably across. I'm a bigger guy. I fit in the second row comfortably. You could stick 3 of me in here, but it's going to be squishy. Seating material in the second row is your StarTex. Now, this is slightly different texture-wise than the StarTex you see in the Forester Wilderness and Forester Outback. I don't know if I'd say it's perforated, but it's definitely got a little bit more texture to it. Very, very comfortable, easy to clean. That's kind of the idea with this material, is it's easy to maintain, especially for those who are outdoorsy or have kids or pets. There's a fold-down armrest with cup holders. Got 2 USB ports. Keep everyone connected on those longer trips. You've got map back pocket on the rear passenger side, and we have easy access to your latch system, the lower anchors and tethers for children, car seats and such. This is textured and designed to be a step if you're going to put something on the crossbars up top. And the reason that Subaru's done that is this tire sits inside the fender. You're not going to get as much of your foot on that as you will on that step. And if you're standing at the very back here, if I'm standing centered, I'm at the back of the rail system already, so I'd be leaning, most likely, potentially putting myself in a precarious situation while loading something, and we don't want that. I also got asked about that little black piece there. So that's what that little silver side impact crash safety bar ties into the body of the car. So it's an extra bar. It helps reduce the chance of intrusion into the passenger cab in the event of a side collision. Subaru's all about safety. Rear door guard is hard touch plastic, soft touch armrest. We've got anodized copper stitching. We've got our power window switch, along with a little bit of storage and a bottle holder, should you need it. Got child lock. They operate independently. So if you want both sides done, you have to close this one or lock this one and then lock the other side as well. Up front, it is a proximity key. So long as the key is on your person within 46 inches, simply touch the lines. There's a small audible chime. The hazards do flash and it locks. If you forget something, I like to back up, take the key out of range. And again, I just walk up, hand in the handle. And again, the key's within 46 inches and it unlocks. Up front, the door card looks very similar to that of the rear, except this is soft touch, along with the soft touch armrest, a little bit more contrast stitching on this. Front 2 power windows are auto power windows, rear 2 are regular power windows. We've got our window lock, our power mirror adjustment. We've got some faux carbon fiber trim that continues onto the dash. A little bit more storage there, along with the bottle holder. And then we do get the Harman Kardon audio system in the Wilderness. Great audio system, big upgrade. We've got our rear diff tag. So if the rear diff light comes on, you're going to want to stop. It's going to go for heat. On the inside here, it's a power driver seat, including lumbar support. Same seating material up front as it is in the second row. That's StarTex. We just have Wilderness embossed on the headrest. Now these seats, Subaru's done a lot of research, put a lot of work into these. These are designed to make you less fatigued after longer driving periods. Puts you in a more relaxed state, gives you more support. There's less pelvis movement, pelvis vibration, which fatigues drivers, according to Subaru and their research. So these seats, exceptionally comfortable. If you have a Crosstrek currently, a 23 or older, 2018 to 23, or even one of the first gens, come sit in one of these. Tell me what you think the difference is, and if you notice it. I think you will. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. By the driver's left knee, we have a scroll wheel for the brightness of the gauges. And then, on the inside, push button start, foot on the brake, light goes green. We have our blind spot detection indicators. They illuminate orange on the corresponding side when someone is in your blind spot, or is going to be in your blind spot momentarily. So I don't know if you caught that when I first started it up. So I'm going to shut off the system, and then I'm going to turn the system on again. So it's going to illuminate like so. You can see it illuminated there. It is kind of hard to see with it being so bright out on the corresponding side. So if it illuminates on the left, someone's in your blind spot or going to be in your blind spot on the left. If it's on the right, same thing. But visibility in a Crosstrek, pretty darn good. It's a small vehicle, sloping rear back, which typically leads to some pretty big blind spots. There's great visibility in here. Obviously, that is relative, depends what you're used to driving, but I think that the visibility in this is phenomenal. Great big windshield. You've got great free view width-wise. These A-pillars are not massive. They're fairly small. Hard to hide a truck or even a pedestrian in that, which is nice. On the steering wheel, we've got our anodized copper highlights. We've got our stitching. Left-hand side, we have our Bluetooth and audio controls. You can accept calls, hang up, or decline, issue voice commands. We've got volume. It's the new style steering wheel, so it toggles left to right for the volume. It used to be this. That's not the case any longer. Source switches from AM to FM to USB to auxiliary, etc. We can switch between presets. This changes our small display up top here, and you can cycle through multiple pieces of information depending what you want to look at. And we get the anodized copper ringed gauges on the Wilderness. And actually, we do have a rather unique startup animation on the Wilderness. Close, we'll wait for rear seat reminder to disappear. And that pops up because I opened the rear hatch and the rear doors within 30 minutes of turning on the Crosstrek. I'm going to open this. Shows you what doors open. Close it. Foot on the brake. There you go. The Wilderness animation. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Looks good. Easy on the eyes. We do also have paddles, downshift and upshift. So even with the automatic CVT, we can manually select our own gears. Nice for going down hills. We have our adaptive cruise and our lane centering. Now, both of these systems use these three black boxes, these three cameras. They're color stereo eyesight cameras. And those look for pedestrians, cyclists, road lines, and vehicles. These are also responsible for your automatic emergency braking in addition to the adaptive cruise and lane centering. That's Subaru's safety stuff. So when I turn on the cruise, you get an image of the Crosstrek there. And you'll notice there's 4 bars ahead of it all the way down to 1. That is the follow distance that you can increase or decrease by while you're using cruise. So 4 bars, if you catch up to someone while using cruise, 4 bars at 100 kilometers an hour is roughly 150 to 180 feet behind the vehicle ahead of you. Fairly safe distance. If you need to follow closer, you can as you get closer to urban areas. Lane centering is designed to work above 60 kilometers an hour, and you've got those 2 gray lines on either side of the adaptive cruise distance. They will illuminate white, the same white as those distance bars, when the cameras can see road lines on either side. Now, above 60 kilometers an hour, if it can see it and you start getting close to a line, it's going to give you gentle steering input to keep you centered in your lane. You're way less fatigued at the end of a long day of driving using this. I didn't think I would be a big fan of it. I recommend you try it out. I don't use it for daily driving, definitely not around town. For the second half of a day of driving, it's great. Sport and intelligent drive modes. So intelligence for everyday driving, sport or spirited driving, you go faster sooner, use a little bit more fuel, set it at a higher RPM. Use it for passing. You can do it on the fly. Intelligent, sport. Intelligent, sport. You can see that yellow line's a little bit more aggressive there. All important heated steering wheel. It does not heat between the seam at the top, just where you're supposed to kind of keep your hand. And it gets absolutely cooking. It's phenomenal. We have an 11.6-inch touchscreen here I'm just going to re-angle the vehicle because there's that glare. The plastic is still on this screen. That's why it's a little bit more reflective than normal. The customer picking it up requested that we leave that on. They want to pull it off when they're ready. So I'm just going to move this angle here. So I'm going to pause. I'll be right back. And here we are. I just had to move it a little bit. So top portion of the screen, you can see we've got 4 widgets there, 4 gauges, or I guess portions. We've got what we're listening to. We've got widgets, which we can change, gauges, and you simply choose the one that you want. And there you go. Now, there's not that many to choose from. It'd be cool if Subaru gave us a few other things like oil pressure and battery voltage. I've mentioned that to them. We'll see if it ever brings anything about, but it'd be nice for a few more options. Got weather, which is part of your satellite radio trial. And we have dual function X mode. So this is like 4x4 low on a pickup for that really extreme off-road stuff. Works under 40 kilometers an hour. Above that, it doesn't. It's phenomenal. Snow and dirt, deep snow and mud. This one allows for excess wheel spin to chew you out. Main portion of the screen, we've got radio, media, and phone, which are fairly self-explanatory. Under apps, we do have wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay. You gain access to the My Subaru app after the vehicle's registered in your name. Doubles up on the My Subaru app there. You've got a bunch of settings you can change. Car info. Shows you the angle you're sitting at. This is kind of an off-road screen. You can set maintenance reminders. You can turn off the display. There is a second page. You can add additional shortcuts if you want. You can turn off traction control. Valet mode makes it so you can't make any changes to it. So if you're lending it to someone and you don't want them messing with your settings, do that. We do have physical volume and tuning knobs still, which is quite nice. And then the bottom portion here, we've got our home button. We have the ability to turn off stop start. Auto vehicle hold is a brake holder for construction, drive through rush hour traffic. Very handy if you've got a long commute to work because of rush hour. You can hook up additional phones through Bluetooth. So you can have up to 5 devices connected in total. Only one can actually be connected at once, but 5 registered in the system. Set driver profiles. The vehicle here takes us to vehicle control, driving assistance changes, and you can change it to the digital speedometer to miles per hour, miles per gallon if you're traveling in the States. Bottom portion, we do have physical buttons on either side for our climate control, and it goes up and down in 0.5 degree increments. Big fan strength buttons, hard to miss, or fat finger those, or I simply click, brings up this menu, and I can click, I can drag, I can sync it back to the same temperature for both sides. I can control where I want my airflow being directed, if I want air conditioning on, if I want recirc on. And if I don't touch anything, I don't do anything for a little bit, it just goes back to whatever screen I was on previously. So you don't always have to press that X. So your hands are more on the wheel and less on the screen, which is nice. Backup camera is integrated in the screen. As soon as I put it in reverse, rear assist braking's on, parking sensors are on. You can see the top of the bumper there, so you have something to relate to. Those lines move as you turn the wheel, show you where you're going to end up. And you can clean this backup camera, as I'd mentioned previously. You just twist and hold this rear portion of the wiper stalk towards yourself, the end of it, and hold it, and you'll wash your camera. So I'm not going to do that because the new owner's coming shortly to pick it up. Don't want it covered in washer fluid all over the back of the car. Below the screen, we've got 2 USBs, an auxiliary. You've got a 10-watt wireless charger. You can turn off the charger. Now, something I'm not a huge fan of myself, it bothers me, is when I have the headlights turned on or your headlights are on auto and the headlights turn on, you get that little illumination light. If you turn them off, it goes off. I find that it's a little bit too reflective for my liking. I wish that there was an option to turn it off. You can dim it with your gauges, but you can't completely turn it off while your headlights are on. So I find that a little annoying, but that's a pretty small thing to be annoyed about. It is an automatic CVT. We've got manual mode. As I mentioned, we have the paddles to manually select our gears in the automatic CVT. I like the shifter boot material. Feels good, nice and synthetic. Got the copper stitching. Plastic still on this as well. Park brake you pull up to activate. If your foot is on the brake and you push down, it shuts off. If your foot is not on the brake, it doesn't shut off. And up top here, it says to press the brake pad. So foot's on the brake, foot down, comes off. They've left the heated seats as physical switches instead of putting them in the digital screen like they did the Ascent, Legacy, and Outback. I like this. I like the physical switches. It's just something that I enjoy. You can't control the heated seats from the My Subaru app when you remote start it. but if you leave them turned on and you remote start the vehicle, they'll turn on, which I like. I just like the switches. It's easy to use. Offset cup holders, got drink raisers, so if you have short drinks, they don't sit down too far, and you can pull these out if you have tall drinks, and they'd be tippy if they're too tall, or if these aren't deep enough. We've got a 12-volt power point, a little bit of storage, nice soft touch armrest with the contrast stitching. Then in the armrest, there's a ton of storage. There's no power point in there, but there's a place to run cords through, which is nice. So if you have a power bank or something in there, you can still run your cords through, use the armrest, not worry about crushing it. Up top, we've got SOS and roadside / concierge. That's part of the 3-year trial to the My Subaru connected services you get with most new Subarus. We've got our sunroof controls, our tilt and slide. We've got our map lights. And just like every other Wilderness, you'll notice the roofline is dark in here. I don't find that makes it claustrophobic. Obviously, that's something that's going to depend on the person. Your mileage may vary. And then manual, sunroof shade, controls tilt and slide. Even the sun visors are dark. We've got vanity mirror. You can extend it over to the side and do the extender so you don't get blinded if the sun is directly at your left or right. So that is a quick look at the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness in the Geyser Blue. Most off-road oriented Crosstrek they've ever made. Probably the most popular trim level that we get requests for. This is, of course, the exclusive color on the Wilderness. You can't get Geyser Blue in any trim except for the Wilderness. About 9.3 inches of minimum ground clearance. You have a more aggressive final drive, increased approach and departure angles. They're fun to drive. It's like driving a street legal go-kart, if you ask me. They're a blast. They're fun to drive, and they meet most people's needs. So thank you for watching my quick walkthrough of the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness. Behind me here, if you guys are in the market for a Subaru new or pre-owned, you're in British Columbia or close to British Columbia, don't mind making a trip, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you find your perfect Subaru. If you guys have any questions about the car behind me, any of the tech in it, or any of the vehicles on our lineup, put it in the comments below. I'm always looking to answer you guys' questions. Thanks for watching. We'll talk soon.